at 6.
The line of severe storms that moved through eastern Kentucky about this time yesterday caused a few issues. First Baptist Church East Bernstadt in Laurel County had its steeple torn down by the strong winds. WYMT's Jas Jenkins has reaction from church members.
Laurel County communities facing severe weather Wednesday evening.
Extreme wind. I saw several trees come down as I returned to the church property. I was out of cell service, so when I hit cell service, all of a sudden I started getting a bunch of text messages about damages in the community and the church being damaged.
Members of FBC East Bernstadt interrupted by a nasty surprise.
I saw this dark shadow through the stained glass window come down, and I said something just blew off the roof, and we ran out to see what it was, and it was the steeple.
The storm's heavy winds sending the steeple down into the church's parking lot.
Of all the places that it could have fallen, that was the best place for it to fall because nobody was over there. There weren't any vehicles parked, so we were really fortunate and really blessed that things could have been a lot worse.
Aside from the steeple, the church only suffered minor damages.
Just some water damage in the ceiling. It's easy. It's going to be easily repaired and everything will be fine. And we'll have church Sunday. It's not an issue.
Church members saddened by the incident, some still in shock.
People recognize our church, you know, just by its glance. And coming to work this morning, coming up School Street, it was gone, and it just brought a moment of sadness to us.
Ready to clean up the debris, hoping to replace the steeple.
We're going to do some cleanup. We got to do some temporary repair to the roof outside of the tarp that's on it now, and then we're going to go forward with the process of getting the steeple replaced.
Picking up the pieces and moving forward. In Laurel County, Jas Jenkins, WYMT Mountain News.
Brock says there are no set plans in motion yet for the steeple's replacement. He says while it will be strange, the congregation is looking forward to this week's Palm Sunday service. Beyond East Bernstadt, homeowners across the county are also working on rebuilding. A torn mobile home roof, trampoline, and debris could be found lying around on Fount Hubbard Road in London. The roof came from the mobile home of Carlos Hoskins. He says he's not seen damage like this since the deadly tornadoes back in 2012. Hoskins and his neighbor, John Wilder, say they are thankful to be alive and are waiting to see if insurance will cover the damage.
It happened so fast, I just had pulled on the carport and saw it coming, you know. So all of a sudden my, truck started getting at that. But it was raining real hard and I couldn't get out till it was over. But when I got out, the roof was laying over the hill out there and stuff.
There was also a brief blackout during the storms, but power was restored fairly quickly. It remains undetermined if the damage was from straight-line winds or a tornado, but the neighborhood said at this point all they can do is prepare for the next storm. Cumberland Falls State Resort Park had some help with cleanup this morning, not from storms. Members of AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps took to the shores of the park, clearing the path of debris for other tourists. The group's mission is all about preserving trails and making areas safe for visitors. Team leader Christian Odom says it's a pleasure to help.
So to have volunteers like myself and my team and dozens of others around the states, it's more manpower for both state parks and other organizations to really get the work they need done.
Odom says 9 other volunteers joined him today for the cleanup.
And back to last night's storms, we were looking on radar last night. A big bow echo line of storms pushed through northern Laurel County between Bernstadt and East Bernstadt about 5 o'clock, and that's likely what caused the damage. Of course, still have to go out and survey and see if it was anything rotating, but this is why I say even if it's not rotating, you can still get those straight line winds and they can still do damage out there. So that's why we have to say take those severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. The good news, It's been a quiet day for cleanup around the region as we've seen just a few showers. I-75 at London, plenty of sunshine at the moment as those clouds begin to work on out of the region. Temperatures remain in the low to mid 50s around the region. A couple of low 60s working in Middlesboro and Jonesville. Winds still out of the west between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Last of our showers pushing out of, say, Floyd, Johnson, Pike counties, even down into Letcher, Harlan, and Bell counties at this hour, but those will continue to push on out of the region. So as we head into tonight, we do see we've got a few more showers on the way to our west, and that's something we'll be keeping an eye on. That's why we want you to keep that WYMT weather app handy, because we will still be keeping an eye on the potential for showers as we head into tonight and early tomorrow. I'll have the details on when some of those showers could turn to snow flurries coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey was back in court today for that state's lawsuit against opioid manufacturers. Morrisey says Janssen, Teva, and Allergan helped fuel the opioid epidemic in the state by deceiving prescribers and misrepresenting the risks and benefits of opioids. Former state chief health officer and current White House drug czar Dr. Rahul Gupta testified Tuesday, touching on the ongoing nature of the drug epidemic. The trial could last up to 8 weeks, with as many as 73 witnesses taking the stand. Dr. Stephen Stack updated the Commonwealth on the state of COVID today. The news is good. Almost the entire state of Kentucky is now in the green on a new map that now tracks hospital capacity and COVID transmission. Today, Dr. Stack said something many people have been waiting to hear for 2 years.
It is okay, though, and this is important. There's another side to this. It's okay for folks to be out in public now in green counties, of which we had 116 on that screen a minute ago. It is okay to be in places with other people without masks.
He went on to say you should be respectful to those who do continue to mask up. They may be immunocompromised or may be protecting a family member. A major fire broke out at a garage this afternoon in Bell County. One person was hurt. WYMT's Zach Hawk has the latest from the scene.
I'm standing along Highway 119 near Pineville, where 15 members of the Bell County Volunteer Fire Department responded to a major blaze Thursday afternoon. Officials with the department tell me they received the call around 12:45 p.m. One person inside was injured and evacuated by helicopter with burn injuries. Firefighters contained the blaze and say the cause of the fire remains unknown.
We got called out at 12:43 this afternoon for the structure fire. When we got on scene, the structure was fully involved. We had about 15 people working on the scene. We had it out in maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
While the cause of the fire remains unknown, officials tell me that it is not under investigation. In Bell County, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
We hope to have more on that fire tonight at 11. Students everywhere are preparing to take standardized tests like the ACT or SAT. In a recent study by the tutoring company Learner, analysts compiled data of students who took the math portion of the SAT, which is the largest portion of the exam. West Virginia is ranked 40th across the nation, tied with Washington, D.C. The study shows the average score in the Mountain State is 487, with 32% of students reaching the 530 benchmark. Meanwhile, Kentucky is in the top 10. The average score for the Commonwealth is 603, with 77% of students reaching the benchmark. Their research shows the highest average score in the nation was found in Minnesota with a score of 636, while the lowest average is in Florida, sitting at 480. Recently, the freezing of repayment for student loans was pushed back even further by the Biden administration. WYMT's Jordan Mullins has more from one local college as well as an alumnus about what the pause means for recent graduates.
The Biden administration recently announced that the freeze to federal student loan repayment will be pushed back to August 31st. Giving college grads additional time to make those first payments.
And to be able to know that you're going to have a little bit of extra time to pay back some of that loan can really be a game changer for folks.
Especially after a pandemic changed the lives of so many young adults and made finding work much more difficult.
To have those already and then have that added stress of the pandemic, it definitely it sheds light on the issue of, being able to immediately pay back a student loan or to, have some time to build that up first.
One such example is UPike grad Scott Cable, who says his loans are not as bad as others, but the pause was welcomed after losing his job in 2020 shortly before graduation due to the pandemic.
I'm stressing about paying back less than $5,000, and they're like, oh yeah, it's 6 figures, and I'm like, I can't imagine the stress that's on them, especially when the pandemic first started. Finding a job in any capacity was tough for everyone.
Preparing to make that first payment later this year.
If this pause doesn't continue, and there's been several times where I thought it wasn't, I have money to go ahead and start paying those back, and it won't hurt me financially.
And thankful for the latest extension and the additional time it provides. In Pikeville, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Dr. Sloan also says this has given recent grads a chance to succeed without worrying about repayment for a short time, and the university is excited to see its bears succeed. With a shortage of airline pilots expected to grow, Eastern Kentucky University says it's doing what it can to help meet increased demand. Experts say the problem started before the pandemic, but as travel demand continues to bounce back, the situation will likely only continue to worsen. In Richmond, enrollment in EKU's aviation program has been growing, and new projects are in the works for them to scale up their operations.
Being the only 4-year university-based program in the state of Kentucky, it is a huge draw for the students, certainly within the state. This semester we have students from 25 different states, as far away as in Alaska.
Coming up tonight at 11, Garrett Weimer takes us from the simulators to the skies to show other ways administrators are trying to reach future pilots. We are still following developments from the ongoing legislative session, which is approaching its final days in Frankfort. Chelsea Jones has the latest from both sides as they prepare for the home stretch, debating some key bills.
This afternoon, Governor Andy Beshear either approved or disapproved high-profile bills. He vetoed House Bill 9, the controversial charter school funding bill, saying the state should invest more money in public schools.
And our taxpayer dollars should not be redirected to for-profit entities that run charter schools.
He said he's still reviewing House Bill 3, which bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. He noted he had concerns about incest and rape victims.
They deserve options.
Yesterday, Beshear vetoed Senate Bills 1 and 83. Some say Senate Bill 1 is an anti-critical race theory bill since it dictates what can be taught in history classes. Senate Bill 83 prohibits transgender female athletes from participating in female sports in 6th grade through college. Senate President Robert Stivers told reporters that lawmakers plan to override Beshear's vetoes of Senate Bills 1 and 83. He says lawmakers should play a role in determining what students learn at school. He believes transgender female athletes have an unfair physical advantage over biological females. Now, bills dealing with sports betting and medical marijuana have stalled in the state legislature, causing some to doubt whether those bills will get passed this general session. Stivers believes sports betting will provide little revenue and entertainment to Kentucky. He says the medical marijuana bill could pass, but noted several lawmakers are looking for more research.
And then that would give us the impetus to come back maybe within a year and say this is what marijuana could be used for or not be used for.
Beshear says he's still reviewing the budget bill and looking for ways to assist families needing medical marijuana if that bill doesn't pass the state legislature. In Frankfort, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
All right, a lot still to come. Governor Beshear signed House Bill 564 into law. It expands in-person voting days, extends early voting hours, and protects election officials. Beshear said he supports the bill, but thinks it falls short in ensuring voting access for every Kentuckian.
Chilly air works in as we head into the conclusion of the work week. I've got the full details on the way next.
And a local community is rallying behind a group of athletes that they say are often overlooked.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they